Journal of a Crime is a 1934 American pre-code film, produced by First National Pictures, directed by William Keithley, and starring Ruth Chatterton, Adolphe Menjou, and Claire Dodd. The film is a remake of the 1933 French film, Une vie perdue, later remade in France in 1947 with the same title. Plot: Françoise is a jealous wife who spies on her playwright husband, Paul, one evening after a play and overhears him and his lover Odette, the star of the show, quarreling in the street about him leaving his wife. He protests because he does not want to hurt his wife. Paul comes home at 3 a.m. and finds that Françoise has waited up for him. Unbeknownst to him, she is distressed at the news and pretends that she knows nothing of the affair. She attempts to seduce him but fails. The more he tries to tell her that he's leaving her, she becomes increasingly agitated, speaking more rapidly as she backs out the door and leaves him alone in the bedroom. The next morning, Françoise sees a lawyer to find out how she can keep Paul from divorcing her and learns that there is nothing legally she can do to compel him to stay. That night at the theater, Paul tries to tell Odette why he was not able to tell Françoise he is leaving her. She is upset as he has promised and failed at this before. He promises to leave Françoise that night and Odette tells him that she will not kiss him again until he has left. Later during the rehearsal, a shot rings and Odette falls to the floor dead. The police are summoned and arrest Castelli, a man who had robbed a bank and killed a teller earlier that day and hid in the theater. However, he swears that he does not know Odette and he did not kill her. As Paul leaves the theater, he finds his own gun tossed into a fire bucket full of water and immediately knows that his wife committed the murder. Later that evening, he confronts her and calls her a fiend. She tells him that she intends not to say anything and at first he threatens to turn her into the police. Instead he tells her that he will stay and keep her secret to watch her fall apart. Over the months, Françoise becomes weighted down by her guilt. When she learns that Castelli has been sentenced to death for the murder of Odette, she goes to the district attorney and asks for permission to see the condemned man. Her request is granted and she confesses to him that she murdered Odette. He tells her that she should go away and to never mention it again. He would have been executed for killing the bank teller anyway. 6 months later, Paul tells Françoise that she is the only person suffering more than him, but as long as she won't confess, she will continue to die inside. Later, Paul tells her that she is the only person who can help herself. She then decides to turn herself in for the murder. Paul says that he will stand by her throughout her upcoming ordeal. On her way to the Attorney General's office, she saves a boy from being killed by a truck, but she gets hit instead and sustains a critical head injury. The doctor tells Paul that while Françoise will live, she has lost her memory of her entire life and how to do basic functions such as feeding herself, their names and her entire life history. This includes her murder and subsequent guilt. Paul takes Françoise to the south of France and helps her recuperate, as he is convinced that this is God's plan. Cast: Ruth Chatterton as Françoise, Adolphe Menjou as Paul, Claire Dodd as Odette, George Barbier as Chittard, Douglas Dumbrille as Cartier, Noel Madison as Castelli, Henry O'Neill as Doctor, Philip Reed as the Duncan young man at the party, Henry Colker as Henry Marcher, Walter Pidgeon as Florestan, Clay Clement as the police inspector. Reviews. Movie review. Journal of a Crime: Murder Backstage, by BRC. New York Times, published April 28, 1934.